discussing forces. Before we start talking about force, let's discuss something that you may be more familiar with. That is direction. Direction is simply the way an object moves. Direction can be right, left, or up and down. Now let's talk about force. What is a force? A force is defined as a push or pull that causes motion or a change in direction. So, a force is a push or pull that causes motion or change in direction. We're going to be talking about two forces in particular: balanced forces and unbalanced forces. On the left here, you see balanced forces. There is an equal amount of force being applied. In the picture here below, you can see that the dog is pulling with a force of 50 newtons and the young lady is pulling with a force of 50 newtons. The result is there is no movement because there is an equal amount of force being applied on each end. On the other side, to the right, you can see unbalanced forces. There is an uneven amount of force being applied. The man on the dog sled is pulling with a force of 100 newtons to the left, and the dogs are pulling with a force of 200 newtons to the right. As a result, the sled will move in the direction of the dogs to the right because they are applying an uneven or a greater amount of force than the man on the sled. Balance forces. Balance forces will always equal a total of zero net force. And I'll show you what that means in the end. Balance forces will not cause change or motion. As you can see in the picture here, the dog and the young lady are pulling with an equal amount of force, so no motion is happening. There is no movement or change in direction. Unbalanced forces will not equal zero net force and will cause a change or motion. As you can see, the man on the sled is pulling, has a force of 100 newtons, 100 newtons to the left, and the dogs are pulling with a force of 200 newtons to the right. As a result, the sled will go to the right because the dogs are applying a greater amount of force. When we discuss force, you will always hear the terms newtons. Newtons is simply a unit of measurement for force. Just like you would say you drank a gallon of milk or a cup of milk, for force you would use newtons. So you're going to be pushing with a force of 50 newtons or pulling with a force of 50 newtons. Net force is going to be the total amount of force. For calculating force, more particularly net force, the first step is to identify the direction of greater force. Secondly, you're going to, if the direction is going the same way, you're going to add. If the direction is going different, then you're going to subtract. And we're going to have some examples to practice so you can see real world examples. Third, you're going to identify if the force is balanced or unbalanced. And as we gain more practice with this, these three steps will become more apparent. So first, you're going to identify the direction. Second, you're going to add or subtract depending on how your arrows are moving. And third, you're going to identify whether it's balanced or unbalanced.